Breaking news: Kyrsten Sinema is not running for the Senate, the senator of Arizona. Good riddance. This woman was one of the people that prevented a lot of our progressive values or progressive policies to be passed during the pandemic. That would have made a whole lot of difference. That would have made the Green New Deal much better. That would have made a lot of good social programs that kept kids out of poverty. It would have done a great job. She once, when she was young, campaigned as a progressive. She was a strong progressive. And then she got into the Senate and allowed herself to be bought. And that is what a bought politician gives you. Holds back progress. Yes, she compromised supposedly to get bills passed, but after all, she's a Democrat. She was supposed to get all these bills passed. But she also was a turncoat by not supporting breaking the filibuster, which would have allowed program after program that helped real people as opposed to transferring our wealth to the top, which is what was done. Anyway, check out this little commentary by Katie Tur and reporter, can't remember his name right now. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Big breaking news from a state that is not voting today, Arizona, where former Democratic Senator turned independent Kyrsten Sinema has just announced she is not running for re-election this year.
Compromise is a dirty word. We've arrived at that crossroad, and we chose anger and division. I believe in my approach, but it's not what America wants right now. I love Arizona, and I am so proud of what we've delivered. Because I choose civility, understanding, listening, working together to get stuff done, I will lead the Senate at the end of this year.
How much does this change the dynamics of the Senate going forward?
Drastically. Well, number one, Katie, there's a lot to unpack here. Number one, Sinema says she chooses compromise. She was part of a lot of compromises in the last 3 or 4 years, a variety of compromises, including the gun legislation. She worked on border stuff. I mean, she was part of every major compromise on Capitol Hill. So her tenure has proven actually that there is some, at least, appetite for compromise. That's number one. Number two, this becomes a two-way race between Kari Lake and Ruben Gallego, a much different dynamic, a head-to-head race between a Republican and a Democrat, where no independent's going to be siphoning off votes. That's number two. Number three, a real pickup opportunity for either party, I guess. And Sinema was an independent, but Republicans feel as though Kari Lake now has a real chance. Democrats feel like Ruben Gallego has it in the bag. So choose your adventure. And to be honest with you, Sinema, over the last couple of years, sided, along with Joe Manchin, with Republicans to save the filibuster. That's a simple fact. The filibuster, if there was another Democrat in that seat and in West Virginia, perhaps, or another couple Democrats in the Senate, the filibuster might or might not be gone, might or might not be drastically changed. So the governing dynamics, the campaign and political dynamics have changed drastically.
Can we just talk about the filibuster for another moment?
Sure.
If Sinema's not in the Senate and say it's a Republican-led Senate and Kari Lake is a senator, how good are the chances that the Republicans overturn the filibuster? Now that Mitch McConnell is gone, he had some fealty to it. And then if it's a Democrat-run Senate, I know that's a hard hill to climb right now because of the way the elections look across the state, the electoral map. If it's a Democrat and Ruben Gallego wins, does it also stand to reason that Democrats are going to overturn it?
Yeah, Katie, I think the basic fact is that almost no matter what, there's a decent chance that the legislative filibuster will no longer be in place. If Democrats win a couple of seats, have more than a 51-seat majority, have a couple of seats cushion, they could easily overturn the filibuster. I think that's a fair thing to surmise after the last couple of years in which we saw big roadblocks put up over pieces of legislation. And quite frankly, there's a strain of thought in the Senate Republican Conference that the first thing Senate Republicans will do in the post-Mitch McConnell era is get rid of the filibuster, change the filibuster drastically so they can pass their agenda. And I just want to make this clear, Katie, this cuts both ways. This will be extraordinarily difficult for Democrats to watch Republicans get rid of the filibuster and pass drastic limits on abortion, things like that, with a 51-seat majority. I mean, that's going to be the other side of the coin to the Democratic push to get rid of the filibuster.
And just to be clear, the filibuster is a 60-vote majority to pass legislation. This would knock it down to a simple majority, 51 votes, 50 plus the vice president if you also have the presidency. What sort of senator would Kari Lake be if she won Arizona?
I think she'd align herself with the hard line of the Senate Republican Conference, a coalition that's growing. And Katie, we've been thinking and reporting a lot in the last couple of days since Mitch McConnell announced that he would no longer be the leader come November about the different pockets in the Senate Republican Conference. Been thinking and reporting a lot about those and what the makeup is. And still, I would say that the majority of Senate Republicans are still allies of Mitch McConnell and kind of old, to the extent they still exist, old school Republicans, traditional Republicans. But that caucus, that little pocket of hardline Senate Republicans is absolutely growing. And to be honest with you, it makes sense and it's smart that Kari Lake is trying to play for these Sinema voters who are, I guess in her mind, independents and would not vote for a progressive like Ruben Gallego, although he's not as progressive as some people might make him out to be. But the real question here, and I was just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day, is the old school McCain Republicans in Arizona, to the extent they still exist, do they vote for Kari Lake? They're probably not voting for Gallego. Do they stay home? And I think that's the ultimate question in Arizona in 2024.
Well, Democrats ought to be happy. I think Ruben Gallegos has a great chance of winning that seat. And while many are fearing that somehow we are going to lose the Senate, we're going to lose the Senate, maybe North Dakota and a couple others, I say hold your horses. I think there's a lot that's going to happen between now and November that keeps the Senate in play, but not only in play, but that we hold on to the Senate, win the House, win the presidency, and win state houses throughout this country. Get ready, guys. You remember Donald Trump used to say you're going to get tired of winning? Well, the reality is Democrats and progressives have been winning all of these off-session elections. Now, only Democrats can screw themselves up. Brother Biden better get his act together on Netanyahu and Israel if he intends to not destroy what is bound to happen, which all the policies are laid out for us to have a landslide throughout the country.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.